And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there any suggestions? Are there any suggestions for change in the agenda or
Move
additions to
approval.
it?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So ordered. The next item on the agenda is the minutes of the June 7th meeting, at which we were all present once again. And I had a brief chat with Samantha, and the wording of the unanimous consent is going to be, the board approved the agenda by unanimous consent. It isn't me that approves it, it's the board. Are there any other proposed changes?
Move approval with those changes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right.
So ordered. That moves us to the golf report, and
Now we're
present
talking.
at our
Yeah.
meeting is the Honorable Paul Jones. We'll find out why he's honorable during the course of his report.
Yeah, just kind of reviewing some numbers here. We had
You have to look at me or I'll make you repeat it.
reviewing some numbers from last year and in previous years. We're kind of where we're at right now is we're kind of a strong average. Our trend has been to improve every year. Now, last year, we had a phenomenal opening thing. We opened early and the weather was good and all that. So we had, we were like, way up probably, about 80% up prior to the previous year in May. This year it looks like we're about, 10% up.
We're still up?
We are, yeah. Well, yeah, not from the previous year though. I mean, that was kind of from the average,
Oh, okay.
from what the average has been since I've been here.
All right.
Yeah. So, what I'm noticing is we've got good membership support. I know that we lost some members last year that from moving and stuff like that, but our numbers are still the same. I'm counting about 67 members to date, so that's pretty good. There's a few other people that had traditionally kind of come in later in the season and got memberships, but I guess I don't really have the exact date of when that was, but so I think we'll get a few more memberships yet, but anyway, so I think that that's pretty strong, and that's seems to have been holding our numbers pretty well, helping us hold our numbers. Now, the other part of the formula that's different is the the walk-in traffic, the people that are coming for daily rounds and things like that. And the Canadian business, we're starting to see more Canadians play the course, so that's good. I was thinking that we, last year we had a really good year for as far as our numbers, overall numbers were concerned, and then I was thinking the Canadian business may have added maybe additional 10% to that, so we'll see. But we're seeing some business. I mean, at the beginning part of the year, we have some members that do have businesses on the border, and they were saying that the traffic was maybe 30% of what it should be normally. But I think that some of that rigidness at the border thing has changed a little bit. I mean, it's probably opened up more. So anyway, I think we'll see more Canadian business. The other business, I'm just thinking that there's just a lot of people walking around. Golf's popular COVID activity, and people weren't working, that sort of thing. But there was a noticeable amount of difference in the walk-in business. So that's interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe it could be the fuel costs. I don't know how.
Are you saying it's down or up?
Well, it seemed to me, I mean, just at my observation, it seems like it's down,
The walk-in business?
Yeah, it seems like it's down. But I don't know if other businesses are seeing that, in town or whatever, but But anyway, that's kind of what, you know, but I'm looking at the numbers and they're kind of like stable, so it's good.
Last year, how much did the city finally end up putting in to balance the budget? Do you remember?
Less than 20,000.
That's kind of what I remembered. And are we likely to end up about like that again this year?
Well, you know, that's the goal, is to get there and, or surpass it. You know, we had, like I'm saying, my comments about the first month we had last year was really strong. We started 3 weeks earlier than we did this year, you know, or, you know, so it's gonna be different. I think another thing too that we're doing now is, you know, I've had meetings with our social media person, and that's what we're gonna be focusing on for advertisement. And try to focus on the fall season and see what we can get on that. I mean, Mike Davies, he's a, you know, longtime friend of mine, and he's always said that, you know, fall business is some of their strong business at Lutzen.
Come to Gunflint Hills, see the leaves change, play golf.
That's sort of, yeah, a lot of people
And you don't
come
have to
up.
pay as much as Lutzen.
No, I don't, you know, I think it's just basically the social media thing is just kind of being a presence, getting in front of people, and it's like the signs thing. I think that helped, you know, and just more awareness, more reminders that we're here. I think that'll help. Anyway, that's what we're going to be attempting to do with our advertising this year is social media. And so, you know, I found a good person in town here that's, I think, going to be able to get it going for us. Other than that, you know, we're just still looking for some equipment, still looking for a sprayer. It's kind of discouraging there because the pricing, it's like pickup trucks, you know, the pricing has just changed so much. Everything just seems, you know, you just kind of drop your head because it just seems so
Expensive.
out of reach. Yeah, it just seems really out of reach, you know.
Do we have any progress at all on the Wise Hope for a golf tournament after August 15th?
Yeah, well, I've got to get with her and see what, she gave me some optional dates that she'd like to look at, so I've got to, that was one of my thing after the 4th to get her.
Okay,
And see what date she'd like to pick for that.
as soon as you get the date settled, Sari and I will be signing up.
Oh, good. Yeah, and that'll be, you know, something we can link to with the social media and all that too, so,
Right.
yeah. Did you guys win before?
No, the people who won were the ones who own North Shore Waste.
Oh, yeah,
The father and 3 sons, I think, all of whom are great sticks.
yeah,
Peterson's.
yeah. Yeah, other than that, you know, that's it. I mean, other than our, you know, other long-term thing, last year we really struggled with irrigation, trying to figure a way maybe to, you know, expand. We've got a pond that we draw our irrigation out of, and that is, we can feed, there's a pond right next to it that's large, but it's shallow, you know, and we're thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we could dig that out and have a, you know, more of a reservoir there, because last year we got through really good, but it was pretty close. Yeah.
How's your staffing?
Good. We've got, we've got the same crew that's doing the outdoor work, and everybody's doing a good job. We've got a young guy that's been with us for a few years now, and he's kind of a part-time worker. I'd like to get him a few more hours. There's another young guy that we're trying to get started with us for a part-time thing, just to, he's like 15 years old, and so he can't run any equipment or anything, but we're trying to get him, we have a kind of a roster of things you can do without weed whip or whatever. You you can't use a weed whip or anything mechanical, so we've got non-mechanical things you can do, and we kind of want to try to get younger people in there so that they'll come back when they're old enough to operate equipment, and because that's what's happened with our one guy that started out really young, and now he's old enough to operate the equipment. So, and that's worked out well. Inside we have, we've got adequate staff. We had a couple of our attendants in there. One of them's like a musician. He's on like a tour for the kind of the prime time of the season. We knew that. But then the other attendant that was with us last year, he's returning. He's filling in all the holes. We have Lisa Furlong. That's they live right across the road from the course, and she puts in probably the most hours there. So that's really handy. And then
The one you mentioned is filling the holes is a full-time professor of international relations at St. Olaf during the school year, and he comes up here and works at our place, and pretty
Yeah.
class act.
Yeah, Tony's great. Everybody really likes him. And yeah, we've got Jerry Person. She started with us, and we really like her. She's been actually been training to do some mowing on our fairway mower. So we've got her to do that a couple times, and she likes it. So
So she's working the desk and the mower, you're saying? at some
yeah, yeah. And so the more versatility, of course, the nicer it is. Other than that, we're just kind of trying to keep ahead of everything. We had some turf damage from ice this year, and we're recovering from that. Today we were verticutting and top dressing, which I don't think the course has really top dressed in the past, but we have some equipment for doing that.
What does top dressing mean of a golf course?
Well, on the greens, it's just a light sand top dressing, and we have to buy this sand that's highly processed without rocks in it, and then we put that out. It's like a broadcast. It's really fine. You just water it in, and you do that frequently, and it matches the growth and kind of breaks down the thatch, gives you a better surface. Like they kind of discovered that around sand bunkers, from all the sand going onto the green, that the quality of the grass was a lot better in those areas. That's kind of where that started. So we're doing that, and just trying to get the greens as good as we can. That's kind of always the calling card. The greens. But we've had good comments so far, and don't know what else is to add.
Any other inquiries or comments from members of the board?
I'm excited about your social media
Yeah.
campaign. And is that like you're buying ads on Facebook or YouTube?
Well, I've actually got like a price thing, and I'll be running that by you with my numbers so that I don't get out
For
of whack.
budget, yeah.
But they do have the drone thing,
Yeah.
and with the cost on that, and it looks like a good deal to me. It looks good. It's definitely in our realm, and I think that it would be good, and the person's willing to work with us on a seasonal basis, and it's basically by the month, so we can dip in and dip out. But my idea is to try to see what you can do to build it up for the fall. And we've got that new blower that's in, and that's really working out. That's really saving us in a lot of ways, and that's gonna help us promote fall. We can keep our fairways clear from leaves, and have if we get strong fall play, people won't be mad because they can't find their balls, and it gets really different in the fall. But they have, we just haven't had anything like that other than a hand blower. So I don't know why, but that's
So this is a mechanical blower that you drive
Yeah, it's on a little trailer and it's got a turbine in it. We've been using it now, you know, we just use it today when we verticut. I mean, it's something we're using like on a daily basis almost for, you know, the mowers go around the greens, around the collars, and they leave clippings. We go clean those off immediately. You know, today we were verticutting.
Which we like.
Pardon me?
The golfers like that, I think, not having to deal with
Well,
grass
yeah.
piles.
Yeah, they don't notice it so much as if, but they notice it if it's there, you know,
Exactly.
yeah.
Are the new carts in?
Pardon?
3 new carts?
Oh, yeah, I guess I skipped over that. I talked to the guy, and this isn't good, but it's like, they're talking about August production now. So originally, he was talking to us about this time of year, we're supposed to get delivery on 3 new carts. And so, it's kind of like that.
Supply chain.
Yeah, it's, which is, you know, that doesn't help us, but it's still a good deal. The carts are really great,
Yeah.
and we're getting a really good, fair price on them. It's just that, whatever, you know, you start ordering these things, I'm feeling like maybe I should order for 2 years
2
down the
years
road
out,
and see if
yeah.
it makes any difference at
Yeah.
all.
So it was last fall, wasn't it? Or late winter?
Well, yeah, when he dropped off his units before, he had said, you know, you want to go ahead and order as soon as you can because of the delays and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, these are things that, you know, it's not worth getting upset about because
Outside of
you
your
can't do
control.
anything about.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's quality stuff, and when it gets here, that'll be great. But we're looking at August now rather than July, so.
Have there been any further discussions about the sign for the rec park and that we used to have the golf course on it?
Not so much.
Is-
Every now and then someone will ask about it.
Pardon?
You know, every now and then a guest will ask, checking in about, where's your sign? You know, it'd be nice if you had a sign on the hill, but we haven't had anything serious about putting it back out.
My understanding is that you have a plan to have some kind of a sign there to replace the old one.
Not really.
Well, let's talk about that on the agenda, but at least by next month.
Sure.
And give us some thoughts about what you're thinking in that regard. I was really hoping to have something that would advertise the 4 municipally owned services, 3 of which make money for the city, right? The golf course, the rec park, and the liquor store, and the 4th one is the library. And most of the towns that I go into, Rotary or somebody has a sign that says, here are all the good reasons why you want to live here or be here. And I think that rec park sign is an opportunity to do something that, multi-purpose. So give some thought to it and maybe get some numbers as to what it might cost, and that sort of thing.
And one other thing I'm going to add is like, you know, from my other stuff I had been doing, you know, prior to this, I had a bunch of equipment and stuff. I'm going to be probably looking at selling that equipment here, you know, in the future. So right now I'm actually using some of it on the golf
I
course.
can't quite hear you, Paul.
I said some of the equipment that I own personally, you know, that's, you know, turf related, from my other business, I'm basically kind of going to be selling it. So, you know, it might be an opportunity to look at purchasing some of that, however that's done, so it's, you know, on the up and up. But I think it'd be,
Why don't you negotiate the prices with Trustee?
well, yeah, I think we'd
We'll go
talk,
through City Hall.
yeah, you go through City
Okay, that's
Hall,
fine.
so that everything's got to be transparent, I guess is the word.
Sure.
And, but, you know, I just feel like the cost, like that sprayer rig, you know, I'd be probably better off trying to figure the unit that I have to a sprayer and then get us in at a better price, you know. I've got some grinding equipment and, you know, I've got other things that.
The only
I would be
thing I
selling.
would be cautious about is if any of them are near the end of their useful life, probably we don't want to have the course by them. But if there's anything that's got significant life left, that
Yeah,
would make some sense for us.
yeah, absolutely, yep, that's right.
Any other thoughts, comments? Well, thank you.
Okay,
Basketball?
back up to the points.
The next item on the agenda is the city council report. Craig?
Yeah, I don't really have, we didn't have too much on last week's city council. We approved a preliminary plat for,
Can you use the mic a
we
little more?
approved a preliminary housing development plat for an area that is located in the city limits up behind the power plant, where the power plant is, up north of the power plant. There's a gentleman that's gonna develop some housing in there, so he came before the city to
I don't
discuss.
know where the power plant is.
Behind the Super 8 motel,
The Super 8 Motel,
yeah, up on the hill.
It's now called the Grand Marais Inn.
now called what?
The Grand Marais Inn
Used to be,
Aspen.
for Aspen.
That's really interesting. I don't know. I don't-
there's land behind there that's privately owned, and the reason for this development is to hook into sewer water. You know, that was the whole purpose of this, to lay out what this is gonna be and how it may look, and so there's a long process here yet, that's just starting. What else did we talk about?
Who are the developers?
Chris Gildem.
Chris Skildum,
Okay, local guy.
he's a local builder, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yep. Trying to remember what else was on the, wasn't much on the agenda, it was kind of a quiet, we preliminary, well, we approved the library budget, that's early in the year, so that was brought up before us last week. And, what else? Lions Club, Fishman, no, was there something at the Lions Club? Fireworks or something? That was,
I didn't pay that close attention.
no, I think that was the last meeting, but, yeah, it was pretty short meeting, it was,
Grand Marais.
yeah. So as far as the rec park is concerned, for this meeting, there wasn't really anything on it. So that's about all I've got for that.
Whatever happened with the leash law that you mentioned?
Oh, we
a
never,
couple while ago?
we're just keeping it, we feel that it's, I don't know, I mean, I think it's,
As is?
yeah, it is as it is.
Okay.
It never got altered or changed. That did not get changed, yeah.
Dog park's coming along.
Yeah, I noticed, they're starting to make trails up there. I saw a couple rigs
Yeah, I saw
parked
them.
in there, and I see some chips laying on the, they've been going in there, they must be chipping and cutting trails.
Yeah, the parking area, saw quite a few cars in there.
Yeah,
Working on it. so-
parking areas completed. So that's everything I have for that, for report.
He's done.
Go ahead.
That-
Yep.
Anything else? People have questions of the city? Okay. The next item is the Parks Report, which you've just been handed a half-page, single-space Parks Report for the July 2022. Take a minute to read it. Have there been any new camp facilities like this, park and rec facilities, built along the North Shore or expanded that have changed the,
Yeah.
competition?
Gooseberry expanded.
Yeah, quite a few in the last.
State.
But I was just thinking since last year, anything?
Black Beach and Silver Bay is a new municipal. In Silver Bay, they developed
Yeah,
a
I've been down
municipal
there.
campground 2 years ago. Split Rock has expanded.
So people have a few more choices than they did 2 years ago,
A few more.
last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means there may be some pressure on rate increases as compared to prior years.
I'm not sure. The state parks are on a whole different rate card.
Yeah.
Say it again.
somewhat State park camping, you know, it just doesn't even compare to our rates based on their, what I would say a subsidy almost. You know, when you look at state parks, it's $10, $12, $15 less than our rates. Now they don't, you know, you got car passes to pay and maybe a few extras, but we've never tried to match state park rates. We've always been well above them. We kind of pride ourselves on being the most expensive campground on the North Shore. Because we're in downtown Grand Marais.
We're certainly the nicest one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Black Beach, and it's difficult to,
Yeah.
I mean, there are no trees, for starters, on a large hunk of it.
Well, they're new.
Goes along the road quite a ways there.
And Two Harbors
You
is
don't see it, that's behind
much the
trees.
same, kind of wide open at this point. In 20 years, it'll be wonderful.
I don't know.
Well, so everyone got a chance to look through my report. It's pretty similar tone to Paul's report on the revenue side of things, kind of having an average year this year versus last year, even the year before, we're well above average. So it's hard doing like year-over-year comparisons in the money categories, but it's encouraging to see that we're not off and we're not in trouble, we're not doing badly. It's felt much quieter. We can just say this anecdotally, that compared to last year and the heat and the demand and the COVID, it was just one of those perfect years of busy as it gets. Now this year is, I would say, back to normal. 2019 busy, which was already very, very busy, very healthy. Year-to-date revenue is almost identical to last year, which is a good sign. And I would attribute all that to rate increases. You know, somewhat of a dip in occupancy, but because of our 3% across the board rate increase, we're doing just fine revenue-wise. June was off by 1.5%, you know, and it felt much slower. The weather, price of gas, same thing we talked about last month. Cancellations continue to come in, new people continue to book, to, you know, rebook those cancellations, so it's kind of a net zero. July, August, September still look really good. The Parkside project's coming along nicely. For those of that were on the tour, we got to look at things down at the parking lot and the boat launch, and the concrete work is done underwater. They've removed the temporary sheet piling and the silt curtains and all that has been removed now, and it's starting to look like a boat launch. What's left is the parking, the actual paving of the parking lot, and the stormwater management swales, the vegetative buffers, the plantings, the trees. That'll all be this month. The substantial completion date remains the end of August, but the KGM contractors, they're also hired for the Pike Lake Road project, and they're really chomping at the bit to get to Pike Lake is kind of what I hear quite a bit from them is we'll be out of here by the end of this month.
Okay.
So that's optimism, but it's encouraging that we could in fact maybe just have that facility open by August when the bite really comes. Is really the peak fishing season for trailerable fishing boats, which is what this facility is designed for. They really come in August. So it'd be great to have it open by then, but
But so everything in the water is done basically?
yeah, except for the non-motorized
Right.
dock ramp.
Yeah, okay.
But most of that's modular, just like the roll-in docks that'll be added. The concrete ramp is in, there'll be roll-in 30-foot docks, very similar to what were there prior. Ideal for smaller, 20-foot or under boats. Once we get into that haul-out of a 30-some footer, those docks are gonna come up short, and we'll kind of assess that and see, well, is this, is it worth investing in like a 50-foot floating dock if we're only hauling out these big boats like once a year? We don't know yet. It's kind of a touch and go on the dock situation. But the initial spec is for just 30-foot roll-ins, 2 of them.
Speaking of marketing, as we almost were, this new project has the opportunity to make the city council and other people who live here really happy once it's finished. And I think we might want to think about having something in the fall when it's done,
We've been talking about that all along, Steve. The
a ribbon
DNRs
cutting of some kind?
That's right. The DNR's in the same position of, you know, displaying their work. They have already had a couple of site visits with, you know, St. Paul people, as we say, like the important, you know, funders and Senate bonding committee people. You know, they've taken a keen interest in this project because we've used municipal bond money, we've used DNR voter dollar money, and so there's always an opportunity to show that off, I think, when we open it. There'll be some fanfare, there'll be some press, there'll be,
Maybe even a barbershop
advertising.
quartet?
I don't know about that, but if, you know, if we're lucky, we get the big scissors and a, you know, gold ribbon, and I don't know who gets to cut it.
Christen it somehow.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we're all excited for this. It's been a longer, you know, 10-plus year process. It's, I think, the bigger story is that this has been a 2-year construction deal, but we've been over 10 years in the planning of it. So it's one of those long games of working with the state, working with the federal partners, the funding.
Probably WTIP would cover it live.
We've talked
No
stories
doubt
every
there,
month.
live remote.
Yeah. So that's coming right
I do have
along.
one question about the bit about the mowing at the end of your report.
Yes.
You're talking about the mowing on the other side of 61. We're the adjacent landowner for this side of the 61, right?
Well, let's get into that, Steve. So right, we're busy right now taking care of guests, taking care of ball fields, taking care of downtown trash. Historically, we've taken care of the boulevard on the Highway 61 bike trail corridor, which has not included this downtown stretch of turf and trees and benches, and everything that was added with the Highway 61 project in the downtown stretch is new turf, new territory. There's also lots of new turf on the south side of the highway, like on the east side of town, where the bike trail is on the north side by the bank and Steve Sports and the grocery store. That's that little stretch of boulevard that historically we've always mowed between the bike trail and the highway. On the east side of town, let's say from the post office to the Steve Sports car dealer, and on the west side of town from the campground all the way up the hill, all the way out of town to the cemetery, right? When the bike trail was built, they put in a little 6-foot swath of turf, and at that time, we, the city, and the Parks Department said, we'll mow it. And it was, and that's been for what, 10, 15 years we've been mowing that. And it's easy mowing, there's no trees, there's no obstacles, benches, signs, etc. I mean, there's a few signs here and there, but it's one of those kind of 2-hour mow job. You go up, you come down, you go east, you come back. Something we were able to handle. Now with all this new turf on literally both sides of the road, because you look at the south side here by Marathon and the hotels and all the way out to the Border Patrol, there's new boulevard turf, and there's new adjacent to the right-of-way turf. You know, it stretches all, even in town here, up on the north side by Holiday. There's a little, you know, there's pockets of turf downtown that is new. It's not adjacent to the bike trail. And so we've really anticipated this. Obviously, we knew this was coming. We talked about it as a staff last fall. City Hall actually sent out a letter last fall to property owners in the corridor explaining our position that here's the new turf, it's your responsibility to maintain it, just like snow removal. Our city crew will try to do a courtesy mow just to kind of tame the turf, because last fall when they put it in, you know, they watered it and watered and it grew really good. And we mowed it just before winter, just to, so we could not have that too much turf in the spring. And as I say, Patrick Knight and Mike Roth and the City Hall sent a letter to landowners explaining the city's position of maintenance, that we'll do a once-over mow, but the rest is on you. And of course, that was in the fall, and I'm sure most of those letters just went to the bottom of the pile. And now it's the summer season and the turf season, and we obviously aren't mowing all the turf. And it's growing, and some landowners adjacent are mowing it and some aren't. And I expect this to, I think, make it all the way to the city council. Or at least you can take this, Craig, maybe next week and say, the park board talked about it, and here's our position. We'll mow city-fronted real estate, like the park going up the hill, you know, how the park is the landowner of that boulevard, from the corner going up to the trailside cabins. We'll mow the library lawn, we'll mow the little park here by the liquor store. I mean, there's little pockets of city-owned land along this corridor that we will continue to mow. But for all the private and state and federal land and county land, we're effectively saying we're not gonna mow. And that's a new message.
So where you mow, you also do snow removal? Those basically same things, kind of, in those
I
areas?
can't answer that because that's Lenny Street Department's
City.
department.
So the issue is the
Okay.
state, we were one of the last towns left where landowners along Highway 61 actually owned land out under state right of way. And the state either bought it or condemned it and took it. So there's actually a 50-foot setback from the center line of the highway to the right and to the left going through town. Like for instance, on the land that I own, the short swath of grass that should be mowed is actually state land. It's no longer, I don't own it anymore, but the grass on the other side of the sidewalk is. And that's kind of how it goes all the way through town. So if you want your place to look nice out in front of your business, I just would have to say that the state's not going to cut the grass. So good idea that you cut it, make it look nice. I mean, I've always cut it, even though it was state property. But with the state right-of-way thing, maybe some people have different.
I don't suppose the city
Different
has the
ideas,
power
don't
to make the state mow its grass in its right of way, huh?
No, but the ordinance reads, we can
They're not
mow it and
gonna.
send them the
Oh,
bill.
I understand that. I'm just saying, we can't make the state do it, so it's either the landowner or us, depending upon what is being served,
Yeah, that's what it's come
So
to.
you guys?
okay?
And this is kind of an FYI, but it's also a touching point of how do you feel about this policy? And I'm of the opinion that the bike trail, the Gitchagami, the official bike trail, and that corridor is important and very popular and scenic and should look nice.
Yeah.
And if we could keep it mowed, we would. But I guess there's two things, you know, like staff-wise, it's a big step up, and I don't know that we can cover it. 'Cause
Well, what's
we're-
happening, what I noticed was, I was kind of wondering if, because I was going to mow, and then I didn't because I noticed somebody did, and I thought, okay, so I'm kind of confused because that's never happened before.
Yeah, this
You
spring
know,
we
so I'm
did
thinking,
get a
okay,
little ambitious.
is the city going to keep, or the park, or whoever's doing this, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Are they going to keep doing this all summer? Because, but I don't think you are, no. But you did once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think message should be laid out there clear for all business owners that if you have grass in front of your business, if you want it to look nice, it's going to be your responsibility to mow it, you know.
So did you say you're going up to Trailside or to the cemetery?
We had gone all the way to the cemetery.
But not anymore?
Well,
Not yet, or no,
You-
not since maybe 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Like we did it initially when the lawn was getting, we probably went out twice. But then it's been a couple weeks now, and it's noticeably tall out by the mini golf and the
yeah.
Right.
Forest Service and as you go, and it's noticed, and like that's kind of that one section that we always kept really nice, and it was, you know, you're coming into town, and it looked really nice.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's wide open country, there's no trees in the way.
Is there any reason why we couldn't offer to maintain the property that is in front of Trailside, for example, and have Trailside pay us for the service?
No, it would get way too complex for that, and the equity factor is the real reason. Like, it's not fair if we mow in front of Trailside and not the bank, or the, you know what I
Right.
mean? You
Oh,
can't
I was
just-
thinking that
They're gonna
Trailside
do it all.
or whoever
They
would
don't know.
contract with us,
Yeah,
wherever they wanted to do
we're
that.
not in that business. There's plenty of private lawn
Yeah.
jockeys that can do that.
Okay, not interested.
Right.
So
Okay.
Dave, are you saying the maintaining the trails along the bike trail is more than the park staff can handle?
Not necessarily, Kate, because we've done it in the past.
Uh-huh.
Like that simple boulevard along the west and the east of the bike trail,
Uh-huh.
we've been able to
Okay.
manage, and I feel we could continue to.
Because
But
that makes sense to me, that Parks and Recreation, that would be the responsibility of the,
And I think maybe there's that might be the little kind of middle ground here between all or nothing, is that we continue to mow the boulevard along the bike trail.
uh-huh,
But then that puts us right through downtown, at least on the south side, you know, touching in these little spots by the Visitor Bureau and the Dairy Queen and the Java Moose, where there's just a little bit of turf. And it's like hand mowing at
Yeah.
that point because of the trees.
Right, because they get in the way of, yeah.
There's so much in the treescape and benches and bike racks and light posts and signs in this downtown section of bike trail that might not get done all the time because it's handwork.
But the Gitche stops at 8th, and it's city trail the rest of the way.
Yeah. And that, again, is why it might be reason to put our crews on it.
Yeah, good.
And I almost throw this out to the citywide crews of street department and their ability to mow a little, because they mow around City Hall. I mean, it's a weird deal where they got mowers too, and they got push mowers sitting in the garage right here.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
But I'm not.
So this is the mowing
didn't hear
equivalent
anything.
of a tug of war.
Hear nothing.
We're just talking about mowing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a good discussion we should need to have, to figure that out.
Yeah, and right now, we're not mowing all the turf.
Every week, you did it a couple times, it happened maybe once, I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have hand mowers?
Yeah, but.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that-
There's
a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that's new here now, and that's gonna take a lot more time
lot more
from
time.
either the city street guys or the park people. I mean,
Yeah, and
some,
we have 40 acres of campground that needs mowing.
Right.
So that always kind of pains me on certain days when I see the crew go out to do the, outside the park work, and then I look
Yeah.
at this guy's site and it's all overgrown. And these guys are paying for
Right,
their lawn to be mowed in the park.
right.
Well, we're confident that you'll come up with, and the city will come up with a sensible result before we're done.
Well, I wouldn't be that Thank you, but I feel I'm just a middleman here, that the city council is definitely gonna weigh in on this.
That's what
And,
I'm thinking, is that,
Yeah.
and undoubtedly, your opinion will have some weight with the council.
Yeah.
Has this come up at the city council yet? or
Not
no?
yet, but it will.
That's going on.
And this
Okay.
discussion will be important, and a little bit of messaging about maybe we can keep the bike trail maintained would be an outcome I would like to see, just from the pride of, community pride.
Yeah, because I don't see why the park would have to take on more.
Okay, I don't understand what.
I don't see why the park would have a responsibility to take on more because of this, yeah.
So what is the
The
next, it'll be on the
redevelopment.
next city council agenda?
No, it's not yet on the agenda.
No.
We're just, I think, foreshadowing that.
we could,
When do
Maybe
they
by the
meet?
time it'll be snow
Right,
mowing season.
Right. Snow mowing.
I'll find out, we'll find out what's the status.
Craig will
of it.
have his parks report
Yeah.
next Wednesday, and
Uh-huh.
Yep.
That's when do they meet? The third?
every
Next-
other Wednesday. Well,
Every other
almost.
Wednesday.
The second and last.
Second and
Wednesday.
last.
Okay.
But just so we've all talked about it out there.
Yeah, definitely it's a good thing to bring up to them.
But nobody clears snow from Johnson's down to Gunflint,
No, it's the snowmobile trail.
and that's good. And that should remain that way, because technically it's a bike trail.
Well, on the north side, they don't. On the south side is gonna be
Yeah, but
plowed.
Yeah.
on the north side, it's good to have that
The north
snowmobile
side is a
trail.
snowmobile trail.
Yeah, and the south side will be snow.
That's good.
You don't want to get into a snowmobile versus bike fussy for no reason.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they're-
Not my department. I think they could share the trail. Fat
Well,
bikes
sure,
and
and if it's
snowmobiles.
covered with snow in the winter, that's because it snows in the winter.
Well, let us know if you need us to appoint a task force.
Might need
No
you
more
to mow.
Can you run a mower?
He puts a rider.
I can only do
mower, I can
riders.
We have those.
That I can do.
We already hired that guy that only does riders.
Are
I
there
don't
any
do push
more to the
mowers.
Parks report or questions or comments about the Parks report?
I have a question. Just following up on last month's meeting with, about the project with CJ Fernandez.
The landing?
Yeah, and I know you said that this is a really busy time of year, so maybe those discussions aren't going to happen for a while? Is that,
True.
okay,
Well, I did meet with the CEC, the Creative Economic Collaborative, after our meeting last month, and the CEC met on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday of that week. And I gave them the same sad news that we all heard about the budget and the price. And we, that group has been a guiding committee for the design and working with CJ, and because they did all of the other elements in the Highway 61, project which CJ designed, they've always been that sort of a consultant group for our work on the landing. And I presented the same strategies that we talked about as far as bidding at a different time, breaking the project up into smaller biddable pieces for, hopefully some local interest, or downsizing the project. And resounding response from that committee was, don't change the project. Or that this is beautiful, and we'd hate to see it lose its arbor, or lose its art, or lose its stone veneer. But they really feel it's valuable as a whole. The design is very nice and worth it, and that maybe it costs what it costs, and that they would engage in funding and granting and getting it built in its, original design. I would say the only new news I have is that the CEC feels strongly about not that option of downsizing, but
And-
to,
In terms of getting grant funding, George Morrison is hot right now.
yeah, but that's actually a different discussion, Steve, of like having to pay the family for the rights for his art. It's a little opposite, where we would actually pay them for his.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was saying we've already committed to some extent to George Morrison
and the
artwork,
design,
right?
Yeah. And
That gives it a more universal appeal than just any old building.
well, the whole project has that appeal of like accessibility and pedestrian friendliness and local,
So
there's
they're
so many
probably
good pieces to it that
at
the
the-
CEC feels there's a lot of good grants out there for this kind of work.
The 300,000 that we had budgeted for it wasn't assuming grant funding, right? It was
No, that
assuming
out of
our
our
funding.
capital, Yeah.
So one possible solution is to find extra money from other sources to make the difference up once we've figured out how small we can make the project in terms of cost.
That's right, and the CEC is our group for helping that along. Like
Good.
Mary Somnus is the chair of that, and she's a professional grant writer, retired. But she's keen on seeking funds to supplement our budget. She already secured that 50,000 from IRRB, which is, following up on extending that timeline for that money, because we know it's not gonna get spent this year. But she's working behind the scenes on more
Great.
grant opportunities. And we'll take a look at this in the fall.
great,
Good.
yeah.
Matt or Kay, do you have any comments on our tour? The three of us with Dave walked around the grounds of all the way from Sweetbriar Hill, is that what it's called?
Sweethearts.
Sweetheart. All the way from there over to the edge of the North House, and all around it was very eye-opening to me. Any thoughts from that you want to share with the others who are not here?
No, it was interesting seeing some of the things, the Far bathhouse, learning about that, and its history was interesting
Yeah.
when that went up, and then
It was about $500,000, and there was a lot of controversy
Yeah.
about it, apparently.
that was an interesting one.
Yeah, and meeting the former Parks Director,
Frank.
Frank George was walking around, so that was,
Yeah.
so that was fun.
Who has one of the
With him.
2 grandfathered-in lots that remain by the waterside there. I was mostly impressed by the complexity of the place. You have some sort of credential that allows you to handle gasoline and diesel tanks, for example. And we have water and sewer, and we have electricity, and the whole place is a big deal.
Thanks. It is. A little suburb of town, I think of it in the summer. Right, we have 300 sites, and maybe average 3 people a site, so it could be 1,000 people there this past weekend. What's the year-round population of town? 1,500?
Right,
It's amazing.
right.
Quite a little village. Subsection. But no, thanks for coming on the tour.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it
was
was
good.
great.
We still have other parts of the park system that
That's true,
I haven't
yeah.
seen.
The
Oh.
That
downtown.
might require an automobile or
You've seen the
something.
golf course though, right?
We should go do all 9
Yeah.
holes in
These
carts.
guys- You guys have both seen the golf course, right?
Every 3 years.
Kay, have you been up to the golf course at all?
Oh, over the years, I mean,
Okay,
I.
and Craig, have you ever been up there to the golf course?
Not this year.
But you've been up there generally. You know what it is, what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
remember.
I don't think we have to tour
I used
the
to
golf
work up
course.
there when I was a kid. I used to mow greens when I was a kid.
There.
I'm sorry?
So I used to mow greens and work up there when I was in high school.
That was just a few years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Haven't been there since they had
I
strong
used to
beer.
suck water out of that pond and chase it.
Did you want to
the
tour?
greens. and-
Oh, okay, so we'll have a tour of places that are more remote from the rec park, the harbor park,
So
and
can
the
I
other
just
pieces
go to
that
the
we're
glass houses and
responsible
look
for.
at 'em?
Sure.
Dickie Peterson.
You want to suggest a time for that, maybe next month before the meeting, or in September, your pick?
For the downtown parks?
For anything that's not on the rec park property, you know,
Yeah.
Not
that
next month.
people want to see.
That's August.
A
Yeah,
bit busy.
That's a busy one.
Let's go ahead in the fall with that.
Wait till October.
September,
There you go.
Or October. I might be
October,
gone.
sure,
in
that's
September.
okay.
Might often be gone.
and we'll use vehicles instead of feet, is that right?
He's gonna rent us a bus.
We can walk. It's not as much as you think. It's Harbor Park and then the Boulder Park and the parking lot. I mean,
I don't care about
it's not that
We
much.
could, okay, is that the sum total of our responsibility, is the golf course plus the harbor park and the other one?
Yeah.
Nothing else hiding in the weeds, okay. So we'll need a car for Bob and me.
I mean, honestly, we could just walk across from, or we could meet at Harbor Park.
I meant to go up to the Gunflint Hills.
Oh, I'm not.
He
on
wants
that
to see
one. I
that.
don't go out of town. It's too buggy.
Too buggy. I love it.
I stay on the water.
Which reminds me, you mentioned that you've been here since 2006, but you haven't always been the director, right?
I started out the number 2 assistant.
But when did you become the manager?
08.
Oh, wait,
08.
okay. And the other guy went to Nebraska or something? Okay.
So
Yes, sir.
I always have a question in parks. Is just what is your responsibility, or the park's responsibility during like Fisherman's Picnic? Besides
Well-
the camera, I mean, do you have to do like the
Trash,
Trash.
and more trash. Like all the green cans and all the boxes that get left on the street corner are.
Your
guys
staff
collect.
is doing
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, along with Lenny in the street department. We kind of share duties with downtown trash and the downtown district. Lenny and his crew do a very early morning, like 5 a.m. sweep. And then we do like a noon and 2 and 4 and 6.
wow.
But, I mean, we'll,
And then like after the fireworks.
yeah, we're
just,
probably 3 times after Lenny's crew leaves, like when it actually gets busy and starts to fill up. We do, trash sweeps through the green cans, like
right.
probably more like a noon and 4 and 8 is the big call to action.
Right.
But oftentimes, I haven't heard this year, but the softball sometimes have tournaments, and that puts us on the spot for like field maintenance and grooming and chalking and cleaning up the softball field, that often happens up at Little League Field, Happy Right, by the community center.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's additional duty.
Grumblings that might be happening again. so-
Yeah. That's
Not that
like
far
a-
away.
Who owns the Little League field? Us?
No, the county.
The county does, okay.
We help maintain it. We have the ball field tractor with the brush and a groomer to keep it, the infield groomed. and then a chalking machine to stripe for out of bounds lines. So we always, run up there and maintain it. It's
So
kind of
you
maintenance
keep
mows.
those machines down here, but you drive up the hill to do
Yeah.
that work, okay,
Maintenance of county mows, we just do the chalk and
got
the
it.
field drag. It's gotten better. They do most of the work now, as far as trash collection and stuff, that's on them as well.
So Dave, you mentioned you might be gone in September. Who steps in to cover for you?
Oh, I just take a little vacation, and then Sam and Aaron, my, managers are
Uh-huh, in charge?
in charge.
Uh-huh.
Right, Sam?
uh-huh.
I get all the calls. I still get all the calls.
You still
Yeah.
get the calls anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Ask the sheriff's office, they have it on speed dial.
Yeah.
And if there weren't all these calls, we wouldn't need you so much, so we're really glad you're taking them.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there any old business besides what we've already talked about? Is there any new business? There being neither old nor new business, I will declare the meeting adjourned unless I hear objection. Hearing none, the meeting